I hate, and I mean I really hate, when anyone assumes that stuttering is associated with your intelligence. It's really, really hurtful, and um, especially in those earlier years when we are more malleable and more looking to others for feedback about our own selves and minds, and looking to others as a mirror. When you see that others are assuming you're stupid, assuming you are not as intelligent as someone who's able to speak without hesitations, it's really hurtful. I'm not happy with it. It still makes me emotional because these assumptions are just wrong. Speech therapy has been on and off. I've enjoyed it at moments, but other moments, I think speech therapy has been really, really hard. Um, I think it's hardest in the schools of where you're in a larger group and a lot is happening, and it's really hard to have the individual attention, and just all resources are spread very thin. So I think when speech therapy improved for me, it was actually with a woman who's named Sue. She was listed on the ASHA website, and my mom actually looked her up on ASHA, and we spoke with her. Eventually, we were over at her house, and because she was retired, so we were over at her house, and we asked her how much speech therapy would be, and she said all I had to do is pay it forward, and it would be free. So it was this moment of where I started appreciating that she was there because she wanted to help me, instead of the obligatory required speech therapy I had had my whole life. So that was a moment in high school in which I was really, really motivated and just appreciated the opportunity to receive speech therapy. And it started making all the difference. And actually at that moment, I didn't know I would end up becoming a speech therapist. My ambition was to become an engineer at the time. And I started as a UCF student, and about a year in, I realized an awesome way for me to pay it forward would be to help others who stutter. And it's very strange, but here we are. I mean, that's exactly what I'm living out, which is pretty cool. I would practice my strategies, honestly, after speech therapy was over, actual speech therapy sessions after they were over, I wouldn't really work on it. It's awkward, it's hard, it's like you're working on the aspect of yourself that you like least. So it requires a lot to really start, especially in my day, it was like those scanned sheets of homework with sentences on them and everything. So yeah, honestly, I didn't really practice at home, but in speech therapy, I would, of course.
Did you follow the homework or assignments that your speech therapist gave you between sessions?
Yeah, I wish I could say I did follow my homework and stay on schedule for my assignments in speech therapy, but after I left the speech therapy room, I sort of was in a different space, mental space and also physical space, that made it a lot harder to work on my speech. I was no longer in this place where I felt supported and would have the feedback and would know I was applying my strategies in the right way. So yeah, I didn't really work on it as much as I should have in speech therapy. As a sophomore UCF student, I had a moment in which I realized I no longer wanted to become an engineer. Instead, I wanted to use all of these emotions and all this energy I've had around my speech to use it in a way I could help others, and also just sort of honestly help myself as well. I think approaching engineering, I was afraid stuttering would become a handicap as an engineer. I knew that communication was extremely important, and I was just really insecure about stuttering in any way in front of anybody, especially engineers who are smart and very precise. So instead, I decided to explore, just have a look at speech therapy. And then a professor, and then actually I switched into speech therapy as a major, and a professor, his name is Dr. Rivers, really mentored me and showed me how much heart is in the field and how much it's able to become when you make it a career. And I think that's really cool. He actually, only about a month ago, I think in May of 2020, he passed away. And he's not an old man. And it was really sad to see, but I'm happy to honor his memory and really mentor other students, because it's what he instilled in me, and I know that's what I want to do, because he made that a turning point for me in my career as a speech therapist, and then also as a person who stutters. So when you start a Zoom call and everybody is introducing themselves and you have to say your name, it's not slow internet. My audio is fine. I'm just stuttering. And that's a daily challenge. So, yeah. In a lot of ways, my stutter has helped me. So I've made a lot of friends. I think it makes you stronger in the areas of empathy. And you'll hear this a lot across everybody who stutters. A lot of them will reflect on empathy. And it's so true, because you understand the struggles of others because you've had your own struggles, and they all have the same underlying ideas of you are the underdog, you have something that makes you weird and not like everybody else, but it's really helping you become a more empathetic, strong-willed, incredible adult. Yeah. So as I grew up with a stutter, I can remember the specific instances I've had of bullying, and it's still this one phrase, monkey. Apparently I stuttered and I wanted to monkey cut in a line, like everybody's lined up, and that's the thing, you monkey cut. And I stuttered on that, and I heard it on the playground. I heard it way too much. It was one guy, I still remember his name. I won't name him, but you know who you are. And he made fun of me a lot. And that was like as, I don't know, a fourth grader. And at that age, it's really hard to live your own life and have a vibe that's your own. Instead, you're looking to everybody else for reinforcement and for love, really. And if you have that monkey or that individuality that everybody is really negative about, it's so hard to stay positive about that experience. So as a person who stutters, I have advice, and that is to become amazing at all of the other aspects of your life that you're able to control. Become a singer, have a lot of fun as a dancer, be a really strong engineer. All of these attributes will raise you up as a person, and stuttering will actually start appearing as a smaller and smaller attribute of who you are. I had a friend who recommended I attend speech therapy. Of all places, it was in my fraternity house at UCF, and he saw how much I was stuttering. We would often have speeches in front of each other, and I was just stuttering in a way that was impeding my overall communication. And as a friend, he approached me about starting speech therapy at UCF. So I attended the UCF speech therapy clinic. I met Dr. Henrique and Dr. Harvey, and they really started helping me out on a journey that led to me becoming a speech therapist. So this small advice with the best of intentions from a friend really had a huge impact in my life. What's really helpful about online speech therapy is the access and how often you're able to work on your strategies. This speed at which you make progress in becoming more fluent, if that's your goal, is really dependent on how often you are practicing. That's not a secret. We all know in a gym, it's just how often you are in the gym and working on it. It's the same thing with speech. So with speech, it's how often you are working on your speaking strategies, like the gentle onset and continuous phonation. So online speech therapy allows you to access this unlimited and on your own schedule. So a speech therapist you may be able to see for a few hours a week, but online speech therapy and online speech therapy tools, you can really see at a higher frequency and work on these strategies even more, which results in better outcomes. Speechagain is unique because of the feedback that you get. It's really allowing you to practice your strategies as much as you want to, as much as your motivation will allow you to, and have instant feedback on your application of these strategies. It also has ways of making the transition from your own room into the outside world is easier because they have situations that act almost like virtual reality and help you simulate applying these strategies in the real world. It's really helpful, and I've never seen anything that's like it. For Speechagain, I love the situations. I think as speech therapists, a lot of us struggle with how do we show results outside of the speech therapy room. And the situations on Speechagain really allow us to bridge the gap between results in the speech therapy room and results in the real world. So it's almost like a simulation of where you see a video and respond. And as a person who stutters, who's working on these strategies, it speeds up the acquisition of those skills and makes you a little more accustomed to applying those speaking strategies in front of people. Speechagain is really helpful for if you're seeing a speech therapist an hour or even 3 hours a week. There are still a lot of hours in the week in which you're able to have an impact on your speech. And unless you have a tool that's like Speechagain, that's allowing you to work on your strategies, you aren't making an improvement in those hours. So Speechagain is really helping you work as hard as you want to on your speech and see the outcomes that you want to see sooner because you're spending more hours working on your strategies. Speechagain is also amazing because you can see the feedback immediately and it's very accurate. It's almost scary how well it knows your voice and it's only artificial intelligence.